Josh, tell us before we take these calls about the Bermuda Triangle and what you plan to do again.
Well, thank you for asking, George. This October, we are going into the Bermuda Triangle on a cruise that lasts, I think, 5 nights, and we are actually going down to pirate torture chambers and other pirate haunts in the Bahamas and Nassau and Freeport. This is the biggest event that we do every year that the public can participate in. And I told you the first time I went down there into that pirate torture chamber at Fort Fincastle that it was perhaps the most haunted place I've ever been. This is the middle of the day. It was nice and hot and sunny, but in there it was icy cold and black. The equipment was going berserk. People were freaking out. They were seeing apparitions. And there were some people who just wouldn't go in altogether. I mean, they'd walk in and take, 2 or 3 steps and turn around and walk back out. So right now we have got sign-ups for the next cruise until June 1st, and anybody interested can just go to paranormalcruise.com, and I will be personally leading the expedition this October. And in fact, George, we might even be able to work out a live remote from our investigation if you're interested.
I would like to do that. That's as gutsy as me doing a Ouija board show, Joshua.
I think you should do it, by the way.
That's good. Now tell me why.
Well, I think there is not really much harm to Ouija boards, frankly. I do think that a Ouija board can be used as an effective tool to access some of your own innate psychic ability. But these people who claim that you are going to open some portal to hell, just because that you pull the unit out and slide the planchette around, I think is too extreme. I've never seen any evidence of that. And if you actually are able to get some confirmable evidence from it, it's a great thing for all of our research. And additionally, you are in a special position because you have so many millions of people who are going to be sort of mentally participating with you. And if anybody has a high chance of potential success with this thing, it would be you for that reason.
All right. Well, I'm glad you were jumping on board with that because my gut is telling me to do it, Joshua.
Sure. It's going to be great. Everyone will love it.
To the phones we go. Wildcard line, you're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hi there, thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Joshua.
Hi.
This is Tuesday. I've spoken to you before. Actually, I live in Long Beach.
Yes.
And I live in a very extremely haunted house. Actually, I'm looking at an apparition as I'm sitting here. Couple questions about something paranormal that I noticed going on around in the property. Out in the backyard, there's a lemon tree, and I noticed that the lemon rinds off the lemons were being peeled off in a perfectly. There was no teeth marks left in the lemon. There's no scratches left in the lemon. Just the rind is missing. Kept documented, put a camera out there at night, never caught anything. I added some other fruit and crackers and bread in within the tree to see if any animals would take it. Nothing else touched on it. Called animal experts around everywhere to ask what animal would actually want to eat the rind off a lemon and not even touch the lemon itself. Now, the way the lemons hang on this tree is that, and some of them a little bit older on the tree, that if you barely even touch the lemon, it would fall off. So it would have to take something extremely light. But only the rind is missing off of these lemons. Now, I did some more further research on the fact to see what lemons were. And back in the 70s and during the school age, teachers used to do experiments with the lemons with the kids in class, what happened, they came to the conclusion that the lemon and the acid from it actually gave energy enough to light a light bulb and even to power a battery.
Yeah, that's true. Lemons are certainly one of the most conductive fruits out there. And in fact, I've done experiments myself where you can take, a penny and a nickel and stick them both in a lemon, and you can power a light bulb off of it. Wow, I have never heard, however, of a lemon having the rind taken away when the rest of it is untouched. That's something new to me. Whether or not there is some energy component there of a ghostly nature, or this is some very elusive animal, I really can't say, but I'm intrigued by this. And especially since you've taken the measures of putting a camera out there and you haven't documented anything, I don't know that I would necessarily consider it ghostly, but it's certainly Fortean.
Well, I do get orbs in the tree. And mind you that I pay attention to the weather, the air, and make sure that there's no breeze, no wind going on. What's disturbed back there? There's no. They don't have we don't have a dog back there or anything. And and the orbs that are in the tree, and I'm very aware of. I've done a lot of studies of orbs myself, but and getting some mist around the tree also. My dog itself, when it is out there, will sit in front of this tree and stare at it for hours. Won't bark at it, just stares at it. The leaves moving on its own. There's nothing in this tree. I mean, I've been documenting this now for the last 6 months, watching it regularly and seeing and trying to find any animals that are in this tree, and there isn't any animals.
Well, in the old days, Tuesday and Joshua, a lot of people thought trees were haunted.
Yeah, that's true. And in fact, I really don't see any reason we should discount the idea of a tree having some kind of a soul or a spirit if we believe that humans do. I mean, we all are living. We do reproduce. We move around quite a bit. Plants move slowly, but if you videotape them and speed it up, well, you can see they move quite a bit. So, yeah, there may be some spiritual aspect there, and I'm also very intrigued by the fact that, Tuesday said she's looking right now at a ghost, and these are the kinds of people that we need to test out in this experiment with the LED lights. So if someone says so nonchalantly, yeah, by the way, I'm looking at a ghost right now, I mean, that's a big deal. I've been doing research for about 17 years, and only once have I ever seen what I would consider an apparitional form. Now, I've seen things that were not so clear, but this was one that was so clear. I mean, I pulled out a camera and took a picture of it. I touched it, And if there are people who would like to volunteer to participate in this experiment, like Tuesday, if you follow the link that is on the Coast to Coast AM website to my site, and then click that link to Lemur Paranormal Investigations, you can just put your email address in our free and spam-free e-newsletter bank there, and I will email you and let you know when we're ready to do this, because we need at least 50 people who can say, perhaps as nonchalantly as Tuesday, I can see ghosts.
And thank you, Tuesday, who called in on Wednesday. But in some time zones, it's already Thursday. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Take it away.
Yes, George, my name is Dallin. I'm calling from Dugway, Utah.
Hi, Dallin.
Hi. It's nice to be on the show tonight. Listen, I've studied spirits and apparitions for some time. However, I've never heard on your show about the famous Bell Witch story in Tennessee.
We've talked about it a little bit, but Joshua, you know it quite well.
Indeed, living here in North Carolina, I'm not too far away. I'm not an expert on the subject, but the Bell Witch is probably one of the scariest phenomena that I'm aware of. It definitely borders on demonic, if not outright demonic, however you want to define that. We won't get into that conversation unless you want to. But basically, I think this was in maybe the 1800s, I guess it was. The John Bell family started becoming terrorized by this very horrific, nefarious presence, a female presence that at first began doing poltergeist-like activity, throwing stuff around, slapping people and during the day, pulling the sheets off of them at night. And then it got worse, however, as the activity seemed to focus on John Bell, the head of the family, and eventually she's supposedly killed him. I mean, his tongue swelled up so big he couldn't even chew food, could barely breathe. I think he had sores and lesions. And this witch is so special, however, because she was able to speak to large groups of people. There are stories about a whole church congregation going to the house and hearing it. Some have said even Andrew Jackson himself encountered the Bell Witch. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but she was usually an unseen presence that would speak with a raspy, nasty voice. And, having read some of the materials that I have without having done any field research of that particular site, I do tend to think that maybe John Bell had some very dark secret in his past. He may have had a relationship with a woman who he eventually was scorned when it was an extremely inappropriate situation.
Backfire.